Alright, we're back for at least recording the rest of this match till we see what the internet issues were. Alright, remand. Snake. Lightning bolt. All right. It's 10. Sure. Let's go ahead and remand that. Hopefully they're just casting Crocs again. Puts us to 3. Discard Scapeshift, I guess. Alright, I think we have enough mountains left in our deck. Alright, let's do this correctly. How is Abundant Grove still chilling out here? Oh well, whatevs. Valakut. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Nope. 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 Domu. 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 Alright. Got game number 1 against Jund here. So their deck is Dark Confidants, Tarmogoyfs, Scoozes, etc. Probably want to bring in these 4. Go down. Romans, maybe? A Remand. Guess, or not really an Arboreal Grazer matchup either. Try it like that. Guess I'd love to play that guy. Alright, so hand's pretty reasonable. Keep. Sure. Probably take run in 6 here. It's either run in 6 or bolt. Try on pass. One of the spots where Growth Spiral is kind of underwhelming if you don't have a guaranteed next land drop. Sure. What am I pitching here? I guess just Growth Spiral. Alright, start hitting some land drops. Work towards Yorion. Alright, well. Veil's a decent card in certain spots. Sure, you gotta go with. Veil of Summer. Womp womp. Thanks. Right, church. Wrong one to bolt. That's one we want to bolt. There you go. It's got one card in hand. Sure. Okay. Is that last card a removal spell? Guess we will find out soon enough. Apparently is not. Bolt the Luris. We have an answer to Croxa. Ability to draw another card. Yeah, I don't particularly care about Bauble here. Start by casting Growth Spiral. Okay, opponent will be drawing with, or getting Kolaghan's Command next turn. I think we just cast Yorion here, get our value. All right. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sure. I think you're priced into taking Scapeshift. They're gonna get Croxa back. So I think we pitch what, land here, take or is it just growth spiral? I guess it's just growth spiral here. All right. If they're smart, they'll move to combat first. Force me to tap down. Yeah, I have enough mana here. Bolt you. Should we grab a Mystic Sanctuary? Put Bolt back on top. Yes. Alright, and our opponent escapes. Nice. Alright, we're back for match number 5 here. Sure, opponent good luck. Opponent is also on a Lyris deck. We're on the draw. I think this hand's sufficient enough on the draw. Yorion versus Lyris. Who shall prevail? Another Prowess deck. Okay. So grab Breeding Pool, I guess. Arboreal Grazer. Play this guy out. Last turn. Sure. Seal of fire. Trigger. Sure. Go ahead and bolt that one. Hopefully our opponent will give us something to remand here. Not exactly the best spell to be remanding, but, you know, we do what we must, I suppose. Yeah, not sure what there was to think about on that one, but okay. Get another basic forest. Play this guy out just as a blocker. We're obviously in an incredible amount of trouble here, but, you know, we're trying. Here comes Luris Son. Definitely blocking. Sure. What are the odds I live here? Probably not very high. Well, I mean, if we somehow live through this turn, which doesn't appear likely. Sure. So opponent basically had everything. All right. Unfortunate. Did have the win lined up the following turn, but... Alright, so we definitely want the Anger of the Gods in. Definitely want the Weather of the Storm in. Ether Gust. Maybe. Ether Gusts are debatable, I suppose. Probably want Remand out. A Cryptic Command out. Run in 6, although it was somewhat useful in that game, out. Guess theoretically we could bring in Spell Pierce. Only question is, like, what becomes, what do you cut? Let's go ahead and do it like this. Sounds fine-ish. Once again, light on lands, but hopefully Astrolabe and Utop Abundant Growth will get us there. A little bit of early defense with Bolt and such. Spiral. Get an island. Let's go ahead and immediately bolt this so we don't run into shenanigans. Is notably trying to stay above 18 at least. Yep, have it. Oh, that's brutal. Sure. Okay. Sure. Lava Dart, obviously very annoying. Wow. Okay. Uro. Kind of glad we kept that card on top. Let's grab a Triumph here. Put Bolt back on top. There's a decent chance we're dead here, but I'm going to go ahead and Quaddle main phase. Get the Bolt back, kill the... Alright. Seal of Fire, sure. They have a Bolt, I'm dead. Xaxes, huh? Alright. But unfortunate. On to the wrap-up. Hey, welcome back to the wrap-up with Bant, Yorion Scapeshift. So we didn't quite get the 05 that Space Marine was wishing on us, but we did run into 3 red decks and lost all 3. Granted, one was the Hollow one Conscription deck, and the other 2 were obviously Red Prowess with Luris Splash, pretty much, and I think those decks are pretty close to impossible to win a match. I mean, it's possible, but in my experience with Scapeshift, now I played Bring to Light Scapeshift, I played Rug Scapeshift before. I don't recall if I've actually played it much on the channel, but on my old channel, they got deleted years ago, and a few other situations, I've certainly played Scapeshift, and this deck feels much the same as that. Like, the hyper-aggressive decks are a miserable matchup. The mid-range and other slower combo decks feel pretty reasonable. Like, we beat Jund and we beat... who did we beat in the first round? Forget off the top of my head. But we beat Jund, we beat another slower, kind of grindier deck, if I remember correctly. And then we lost to Hollow One and Double Prowess. Generally, you have the tools. Any matchup where Cryptic Command and Remand are good, this deck tends to be good. Any deck where these cards are terrible, it was Black White Eldrazi is the deck we beat. Any deck that tends to be pretty terrible with these cards, we tend to lose to. So we beat the 2 mid-range decks. We lost to the 3 hyper-aggressive decks of sorts. Not a huge surprise with this deck. I think if you can pick... This is one of those decks that if you can pick the spot where you're facing against, like, other control decks and, you know, maybe even Titan decks and such with as many counterspells and such you have, the slower, kind of grindier end of Luris decks plus the Yorion mirrors and whatnot, I think this deck performs exceptionally well. I think in the matchups where they're hyper-aggressive and hyper-linear, this deck does not perform particularly well. you could have some game against Neobrand and such. You have enough counterspells, etc. with Mystical Dispute and such, Spell Pierce and things, Veil of Summer, that you might be able to get there in those matchups. But I think that specifically the hyper-aggressive decks are the ones that Rug Scapeshift has always tended to struggle against. So that really hasn't felt like it changed even with the Yorion. I think Yorion enhances the plan of grind out when you don't have to have Scapeshift in your hand to beat Jund or this, that, or the other thing. I think Uro kind of adds to that plan. And I think it gives you a decent shot against Prowess and such. I think the Burn matchup is significantly better than Prowess, but I honestly think that red Prowess deck might be the best deck in the format, barring, hate the opponent's playing, etc. I honestly think that red Prowess deck might be the best deck in the format, even though I haven't had the best results with it. Maybe it's just M. Hayashi's build that I've been messing with or whatever, or I hadn't been playing the latest versions with like Soul Guide Lantern and Path and such. And, we saw Soul Guide Lantern, especially in the first matchup, take arrows out of the graveyard that might have allowed us to stabilize. But basically, long story short, this deck, if you can pick your spot, this deck is good against the non-hyper aggressive decks. You have enough interaction to keep you alive to get to Scapeshift. Yorion gives you a bunch of value to recoup in the mid game. If your opponent tries to play the strip you of resources game. And a lot of it just comes down to hitting your land drops and, utilizing your mana every turn. And I think even with 36 lands, sometimes may not even be enough. So as crazy as that is, because you want your growth spirals and your Uros to hit land drops consistently. But that's just kind of the risk of playing a churning, kind of interactive deck, is you just kind of struggle with decks that can get under you. So pretty much it. This deck was a blast to play. It's kind of frustrating to run into Prowess twice, but you live by the burn spell, you die by the burn spell, I suppose. So anyways, this has been John for MTG Nexus, and as a friendly reminder, the deck tech in the first part of the league were streamed. That's already up on the channel. This is going to be going up a little bit later. I had some connection issues during the middle of the stream and decided not to fight with it and just record the matches from the point with where Jund matchup led off and then the last match into this wrap up. So this has been John for MTG Nexus, and we'll be back tomorrow night with some Jund action.